Hi, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on homeschooling high school in Alberta. Today, I hope to lead you through how high school works, what are your options, and how you can home educate each course from grades 10 to 12. We'll talk about that. So welcome. I just pop in here to say hello so you can see who I am. Other than my picture of me and Sir Ken Robinson, obviously my hair is a little darker, but I hope to inform you and support you and encourage you that yes, you can home educate high school. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and you can replay the parts where I might skim over a bit, but it's a little complicated, but I think you can rewatch this recording a lot and get a gist of how it all works. So thanks for joining me today. Okay. First of all, my name is Judy Arnall, and I'm a certified Canadian Family Life Educator, certified in the Brain Story, and I teach child development. And I also have a big interest in education because I think education and development of children and their brains go so well together. So I'm an education consultant too. I have 5 children of my own, and I'm a bit of an idealist in that I read research and I know what are best practices, and yet I am a mom too, and very much a realist. So I know how hard it is to get 5 kids through high school, especially when my math ends at grade 8. So also, I hope you check out our website, Alberta Homeschooling Association, and it's at albertahomeschooling.ca. There are a lot of resources under the high school tab. Now, with this video, you should get a list of the textbooks required. You should get a printout of how to do home education high school courses. If you've purchased the homeschooling handbook, you will have that how to do high school courses in that. But if you didn't, then you should have a supplementary with this. You will also get home education plans for grade 10, 11, and 12, and also plans if your child is 19 or age 20 and pursuing high school credits. You will also get course proposals for the courses that you want to do under home education. So please, if you don't get any of those with this video, let me know. Just shoot me an email. So I started homeschooling my children from grade 2 on up, and we kind of slid into a lot of play and projects. So we did what parents called unschooling. So for the first grades 1 to 9, my children played and learned a lot through their play. And then we decided to do a more formal high school program in grade 10 for English language arts, for social studies, and for sciences. For math, my kids started their formal studies in grade 8 because that's all I knew was grade 8 math. From then on, they'd have to either self-teach or learn through teachers or teaching themselves, which they did a very good job of. So each year I would ask my kids, do you want to homeschool again? Do you want to go back to school? What do you want to do? And each year they said, no, let's keep going. We love this. So as you can imagine, by grade 8, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not teaching math. And they said, we'll learn it. They'll keep on learning. And they all did. So all 4 of my kids graduated high school. One is just finishing up his math and sciences, and the 3 oldest have graduated university, 2 of them in STEM programs. The 4th is in university right now, and the 5th is about to go next year. I have worked all my life in the health areas, and I've written books. One's a bestseller, Discipline Without Distress, is all about non-punitive parenting. And parents said to me, oh, that's a great book. It tells me how to handle everything without punishment. And it's all about problem solving. But what do I do about my anger before I get to that point? So I wrote a book called Parenting with Patience on teaching parents how to get a grip and how to help their kids get a grip. They've been translated into different languages. And then after my 23 years of facilitating parent groups, I wrote a book called Attachment Parenting Tips. And it's just suggestions on every kind of parenting problem from my parenting groups. No theory, just tips. All the books I write, except the Happy Homeschooling Handbook, have detailed information on brain and child development. Parents need to be informed of what capacity their children have and how to put that application into handling everyday parenting. So we have a Happy Homeschooling Handbook, which is updated every year. If you're watching this video, next year it'll be a different color than salmon. I also wrote a book on our unschooling experiences because when my children entered a more formal high school program and their friends did who had been unschooling, and all 30 of them entered university and colleges, I decided that this information needs to get out there because you're not going to learn about it from anyone else, because unschooling is self-directed education that doesn't really make anybody any money. So, but it needs to get out there that children can and do teach themselves. They can learn everything without direct instruction. So this is the book. Now, this whole video is on high school. So we're going to talk about what you can do with your child if they don't want to go to a classroom for high school. Feel free to shoot me questions after. I will give you my email address because you may not get them answered live. So our goal, let's say your goal too, is to keep all doors open. You don't want to shut anything off to your children. So in Alberta, we have basically 4 choices of education. You can send your child to a public or a Catholic school. And they could do a classroom, they could do print-based, or they could do online learning. Those school boards get full funding for teaching your child. They have to follow the Alberta Programs of Study, which are a set of 1,400 outcomes per grade that children must check off. 95% of children in this province goes to public or Catholic schools. 4% of children go to independent schools. They also have to teach the Alberta Programs of Study outcomes. They too can offer a classroom, a print, or an online version. They get partial funding from the government. And then about a very small number send their children to charter schools. Again, they have to follow the Alberta Programs of Study, and they can do classroom, print, or online. About 2 to 3% of parents choose the 4th option, which is called home education. There is no such word, homeschooling, in Alberta education. You must use the correct legal term called home education. They are different. They follow the home education regulations within the Education Act. Everybody else has to follow the Education Act, but not home education. We follow the home education regulations. Your child could do 2 sets of outcomes, either the solo outcomes, which we say the schedule of learning outcomes that follow home education and not the Alberta Programs of Study. I know it's a big title. Or the Alberta Programs of Study, which is for grades 10 to 12. And home education take place in the home. It does not offer a classroom, print-based, or online government-issued version. If you want that, then it's no longer home education. It becomes school if you're going to accept it from the government offerings. Now, you can do half a program under home education, or you could do half a program under one of these three options, and then it's called shared responsibility. Many parents who have children in high school do that. For example, let's say they are very well equipped to teach their child in science and math. So they would notify a school board that they are going to teach science and math under home education, and they're going to ask the Alberta Education School to teach English language arts and social studies under classroom, under print, or under online delivery. So they have no jurisdiction under the school delivered part, but they have all control under the parent delivered part under home education. Okay, now there's funding for the parent delivered part. There is no funding or technology under the school delivered part. Okay, so when you sign your child up in September, and the deadline is September 30th to make the decision to choose home education, that's the day that every school authority sends in their coding for their children who are here in the province. So if you're going to take on responsibility and retrieve authority for home education high school, you must do it by September 30th. And your school authority who's going to supervise your home education program would enter code 600 in PASI, which is the provincial-wide student identification system. Okay, so as our children are making their way in their education world, they're moving from content to competencies. It's not so much what they know, but what they can do with what they know. So it's more outcome-based, especially at high school level. So let's look at the choices. Basically in high school, your children have two choices, as I kind of outlined. They can do school, which will be print-based, online, or classroom. The school controls everything. The school determines each child has to follow the outcomes of the course. They deliver the assignments, they choose the resources, they do the marking and reporting. The school determines everything. Or they can do home education, where the parent or the student determines everything. They choose the resources, they decide what outcomes to meet, they choose how to meet those outcomes, and they also choose the assessment method, including the mark. This is supervised by a school authority, but it is not controlled or delivered or assessed by a school authority. So I hope that's clear. Two routes. Now, within those two routes, what will you get? So you can go, let's talk about school because that's a bit easier. Everybody knows school. School, again, like I said, you could do online, classroom, or print-based classes. Not you, your child can do them. And they can meet the course outcomes, and they can get 100 credits and graduate with a diploma. That's or they can get 80 credits and graduate with a certificate too. But that is the only school option, is through school delivered online, print-based, or physical courses delivered by a teacher. Now, your child may decide, I want to do it my way. I want to do it more self-directed, self-designed, or you want to teach, then you go home education. Now, within home education, you have two options. You can just do the solo outcomes. There will be no diploma on that. But what it does is it says your children have completed 12 years of basic education. Many parents want that. They do not want to go through the hoops of the Alberta programs of study outcomes. They just want to sign off their children that they're doing a basic education, and that's fine. So on the notification form of the home education notification form, it does say you acknowledge that your children may not, which means might not, get a diploma. And this is this square here. Okay. But that doesn't mean that if your child chooses home education for high school, that they absolutely will not get a diploma, because if they decide they want to meet the course outcomes under the program of studies, they can absolutely get 100 credits and they can graduate with a diploma and go on to post-secondary. And that's how we did it. We chose home education because we were unschoolers. So for grades 1 to 9, we chose home education under the solo outcomes. But once we hit grade 10, our children decided they want a high school diploma. So they were willing to self-design their courses to meet the outcomes of the Alberta programs of study for each course and get a diploma. So if you want to go the home education no diploma route, that's fine. You can probably just end the webinar right here and just keep on with the homeschooling grades 1 to 9 webinar, because you just continue doing that through high school, okay? If you decide, nah, I don't want to do this, my children just want to go to school, you can end the webinar right here too. And they can do online or physical school. All the school authorities across the province will be happy to help you with that, because that's what they specialize in. And you will get all the information, the outcomes, the textbooks, and they will deliver the material and talk to you about what to expect when your child is in school. So you could leave here now too. The rest of this webinar is if you don't want to put your children in school, you want to register them for high school under home education, but you want them to get a diploma and credits and go on to post-secondary under Section 6 of the home education regulations. I will help you through that for the rest of the hour, okay? So I hope we're clear. So you're taking the home, going back, you're taking the home education route instead of the school route, where you and your child controls everything. And you want course credits and a diploma for your child under Section 6 of the home education regulations. So that's this. Okay, let's go. So why choose home education? There are many reasons why, but we really love the flexibility of home education at high school level. We wanted to travel super cheaply. So here's where I took 3 of my kids to see Hiroshima. The museums in the specific countries where history has happened are so much more unbiased and educational than reading about it in a textbook from North America. We love traveling very cheaply, and that's what we did. Sometimes bullying is an issue at high school level. And in the case of one of my children, their special needs were not being met in a classroom. Anxiety and depression really come out in the teen years. About 1 in 5 adults at some point in their lives experience anxiety and depression, and we're seeing more and more of that at the teen level. Teenagers' mental health is not being served well in a conventional school situation, especially with the advent of screens. So we chose home education because we could meet our children's needs for those issues. And by the time they got to post-secondary, they had a lot more supports directed at them to help with those issues in university. So it was just getting through high school with those issues, and we decided home education was our best bet. But there's a lot of other reasons why people choose home education. I'm not going to talk about the history. You don't want to know that. Okay, so high school is a buffet of courses. Unlike grades 1 to 9, which are grade-based, high school is a lot of courses, a lot of choosing which courses to take and options to take. Now, when you do home education, it doesn't even mean you have to teach, or that's a common misconception. What you're doing is retrieving authority and responsibility for your children's education. You become the general contractor. But from there, you can outsource outside the government school system and outside of Alberta education. So you can hire tutors to help your children. You can form co-ops like we did with other parents and take turns teaching concepts, courses, or themes. You can hire your childcare professional to deliver certain parts of the course, or you could go student-led like we did for a lot of courses. Our children self-taught themselves out of textbooks. You can hire online courses, a la carte courses such as OutSchool or Khan Academy, or you could sign them up for virtual high school somewhere from another country. The proof in proving qualifications within Alberta education is that all students, whether home education or school, write diploma exams. So that's where children can prove their knowledge from these other sources, and it becomes part of their transcript, and they go on to post-secondaries. Post-secondaries don't know which courses were Alberta Education School delivered and which courses were delivered under home education. They cannot tell by the course codes on the transcript. So here's the home education notification form. This is a little old. It has been updated to 2019, but I just screenshotted it so you can see what it looks like if you want to do home education high school. So like I said, grade 1 to 9 is by grade. Grade 10 to 12 is by course. So what you have to do for home education high school is, let's take grade 10, because a lot of parents are starting in grade 10. You do have to fill out a home education learning plan, and I will send you templates. So you still have to fill out what you're going to do for the 22 solo outcomes. But this is different in that under each course, so for example, under outcome A and B, which is English Language Arts, you would write in, will follow Alberta Programs of Study, English Language Arts 10-1 for marks and credits. So that's how it would be different. Okay, and remember, the Alberta Programs of Study is outcome-based. So you just check off what your child learned. And if you follow, so each course would have, say, English Language Arts 10-1 would have about probably 45 outcomes. And your mark that you give your child would be how many of those outcomes they met. So let's say they did 2/3 of the outcomes, then the mark would be 66%, right? If they did 100% of the outcomes, their mark would be 100%. But you could also, and we'll talk about that later under assessment. So like I said, our grade 1 to 9 curriculum came in a little blue box. We unschooled, and my kids were gamers, so they learned a lot through unschooling. But I found by age 13 to 15, all children get their abstract thinking skills, which is the development of the frontal lobe, and the prefrontal cortex. And that increases their executive function, their self-control, and they're more motivated to pursue paper-based work, which is pretty necessary in high school because those courses are pretty in-depth. You can see this again here. By age 13, they take that final leap of self-control development to about age 25. And you can see it, that final leap here at age 17. That's where I found my children really kicked into wanting to do the work in order to finish the courses, get really good marks, and go on to post-secondary. And even more so because from birth to age 16, they played a lot. So they were ready to really, really push it and do their best during the high school years because they never had formal education. They were so keen to learn by then. They hadn't been burning out by then. And any parent will tell you the high school years are what counts. And of grade 10, 11, 12, that grade 12 year is the year that counts the most in Alberta education because those are the marks that are going to be used to get into post-secondary. So unlike other countries where they start streaming kids at age 11 or 9 or 13, Alberta education really starts streaming kids about grade 11. That's where kids have to make choices beyond the common core courses in grade 10 of where they're going to go in post-secondary. So for a high school diploma, and I'll just say now, no universities across Alberta, none of the major ones require a diploma for entrance. They require grade 12 courses, certain courses, depending on the program. So check the requirements. But if your child is not going on to post-secondary, let's say they're going out to the world of work or they want to start a business and they still want a diploma, that's great, but they do not need a diploma for entering university. In fact, my one child who was in second year engineering only had 99 credits. He had all the courses he needed for engineering application and for entry, but he didn't have a final CTS credit. He had all 3 sciences, but the sciences didn't count for CTS credits. So he entered university with 99 credits, and he finally got that credit. I think we did a food science course for 25 hours cooking and got the credit and got his diploma. Yay! So for a high school diploma, the requirements are 100 credits at least. Children have to do CALM, which is Career and Life Management in grade 11. They have to do phys ed, grade 10. Those are mandatory. They have to have 10 credits at the grade 12 level from CTS options. CTS stands for Career and Technology Studies, and there are option courses like food science, sewing, fashion studies, welding, you name it. High schools have a lot of option courses because they want children to learn what they want to do for the rest of their lives. It can be in fine arts, such as drama, music, art. It can be in phys ed. That's one that my kids did a lot, was phys ed to grade 12 and food studies through grade 12, which is under CTS. It can be a second language. It could be through RAP, but that would have to be RAP, which is registered apprentice, would have to be under a shared responsibility program. It has to be on the school side because the school has to do a site visit. Same with work experience now. English language arts, they need 15 credits. So they do need a grade 12 English level. Social studies, again, 15 credits, and it has to be a grade 12 social studies level. They only need 10 credits in science, 10 credits in math, and 10 credits at another grade 12 level. we did special projects and we did CTS courses. So for the mandatory courses, they would have about 58 credits, and then they'd fill up the other 42 credits through options, CTS credits, whatever they wanted to do. Okay, so I think I've already explained this is you could either do school or you can do home education. Yeah. Now, it's very important you realize diploma can be awarded on all three programs, whether it's home education, whether it's school, or whether it's the shared responsibility, which is part school and part home education. Children can get diplomas on all of those. Don't let anyone tell you not. Okay. So again, I said I'm going to concentrate on parent-directed home education in high school because that's what you're not going to hear about out in out there through school authorities or Alberta education. Okay, and I talked about this too. Under home education, you could just do a basic by solo program, no diploma, no marks or credits, or you can get marks and credits. Okay, so now let's say we're going to go for marks and credits under home education. There is a date that's very important for you to know about. 19 years of age. If your child is under 19 on September 1st, the rules are different than if your child is over age 19 on September 1st. So let's just say until age 20 on September 1st, your child is funded for home education. They still get $850 per year per child if they're under age 20 on September 1st. So you can use that funding to buy textbooks, to buy tutors, to buy courses outside of Alberta education, to do whatever you want to purchase, okay? Now, under 19 years of age, children have to write the diploma exam, but they also need a course mark. After age 19, they don't need a course mark. They can walk into any testing center, write the diploma exam, and that's like what I said, if you unschool or your child unschools till and self-teaches and they have absolutely no record of courses they're learning, they can still walk in at age 19, write the diploma exam, and get 100% marks and credits from the exam. For the levels below that, they can get retroactive credits with a P for pass, but they will get the credits. So they can just walk in and that exam mark will stand for 100% for that course. But under age 19, they have to have a coursework mark. Now, if they really know their stuff, the supervising school authority will, excuse me, will look over what they have to prove that they know the course and will grant a course mark so they can go on and write the exam. For example, one of my children were very strong in English. She wrote novels every year. She would write NaNoWriMo novels. She would read books on how to craft characters, storylines, plot, theme, mood, everything. She self-taught that because she loved reading and writing. She read the entire line of Shakespeare. She read all the great classics. She just did. She lived and breathed English language arts. She did not need to take courses from Alberta programs of study to teach her anything. She learned on her own. So for her to do the coursework was just extra work. It was busy work for her. So under home education, she can fast track that. And her facilitator said, well, just write me 4 essays, 2 personal responses, to critical analysis, and we'll call that your course mark. And that's what she did. She wrote 4 essays, submitted it as her coursework. The facilitator signed off, gave her a mark, and she went on to write the diploma exam for English 30-1, got 84%, and bam, she's done. She does not have to do all the busy work. And that's the beauty of doing parent-directed. Now, who supports parent-directed high school for marks and credits? All of the big school boards do not. There are many that do. Be sure to go to our website, albertahomeschooling.ca. Under the high school tab, it's an updated list of who offers parent-directed high school for marks and credits. The problem, why don't many more boards do? Because the funding is still a flat rate home education funding. The school authorities get about $1,700 for supervising high school, and it's not enough funding. The parents get half of that, $850 and up, but for schools to look at a portfolio and examine it, they feel it's not enough funding to do that, so they don't offer it, even though it is available. So you have to find a school authority that does offer it, and some are now charging to review portfolios to recuperate a lot of their teacher time, which makes sense. So this is what a detailed academic report looks like in MyPass. So once your child starts high school, actually grades 1 to 9, the marks aren't recorded anywhere other than your child's accumulated file. They don't go in a transcript, they don't go anywhere. But like I said, high school are the years it counts, and especially grade 12 marks, because grade 12 marks are what are going to be presented for post-secondaries. So you can see on here, this child did English Language Arts 10-1. They got 5 credits. They did it during this school year. It was full year. This was a school authority that supervised the home education program and reported the marks and credits, the language, and the mark. And then when they do grade 12 and they get an exam mark, that goes here. So as you can see, it is not recorded that they were home educated, or even that they unschooled, or that they only presented 4 essays for their course mark. It is not that. It just shows which school reported the mark. So if your child went to a classroom, it'd be a different school code, but that's it. It would look exactly the same. This is what a high school transcript looks like. So again, what they do is on the detailed academic report, it goes on the transcript, but only the final marks. So if your child takes English Language Arts 3 times, their best mark will go on the transcript, whereas all 3 marks will go on a DAR. So again, as you can see, this will show your child's progress. It shows when they took the course, what the term was, the school code that's reporting it, what the course code is, what the course name is, how many credits they got, what the course mark is, what the diploma exam mark is. Now, this time it was half and half. It was 50% course mark, 50% diploma exam mark. So the final mark was an average of those two. Nowadays, the school mark is 70%, the diploma exam mark is 50 or 30%, and the final mark is the combination of those two. Unless the child's over 19, then the government either takes the diploma exam mark, 100%, or a combination of the 2 marks of whichever is higher. And that's only if they're over age 19. So for example, my son took Bio 30 when he was over age 19. His diploma exam mark was higher than the combined school and exam mark. So they just took the diploma exam mark and put it on the transcript. Yay! Yeah, that was good. Now, if he was under age 19, they would have just combined the course mark and the diploma exam mark. Isn't that interesting? And it also shows if their mark is over 80%, they get honors on their transcript. Okay, so this is what's going to go to the post-secondaries. And when you apply to post-secondaries, you just put in the course name into the field, whichever province you are, and the final mark. And admission to universities are based on that. Okay, so why don't more boards support parent-directed? Because they, it's all about funding. Home education is only funded at flat rate, whereas if your child goes to a classroom school or takes print-based school or takes online school, that is what the school gets. So when you go to school open houses for high school, they're not going to tell you about this. Or they may even say, your child won't get a diploma on this. But that is not true. Your child can get a diploma on this, can get marks and credits, and can go on to post-secondary. Okay, now I kind of talked about age 20, where they can just write the diploma exam regardless of where they got their knowledge and get marks and credits. Okay, and yes, I told you about the 4 essays. Now, homeschoolers need flexibility. We want our kids to do the courses they need. If they need instruction in courses, yeah, okay, they need the instruction. But if they don't need instruction and they're really good at certain areas, they just want credit for what they know. We don't want any shortcuts, but we don't want to do busy work either. So it's pretty well high school your child's way out. We don't want any special privileges or shortcuts, but we want recognition for all the learning that takes place in the home and not just within a 125-hour course shell. Okay, is it legal? Absolutely. Like I said, it's Section 6 of the Home Education Regulations, which says for home education students who follow Alberta programs of study outcomes and who want high school credits, a portfolio review and exam may prove competency. Okay, so how do you get resources to meet those outcomes? We buy this subject textbooks, we buy workbooks, we get library books, we look at websites like Khan Academy and Spark Notes. We use games, we teach with movies, especially for English and social studies. Documentaries are good. Online courses are good outside of the Alberta education system. Audio materials, field trips, travel, museums. We have also got together and created micro schools or learning pods or what we call co-ops. So we got, and I will send you that too, is how to start a co-op. And it's just our learnings on how to do that. So we got a group together. We either hired a teacher to teach our group of 8 to 10 kids, or we had the parents take turns. One semester, one parent would teach English. Next semester, another parent would teach the next grade English. And we combined English and social studies together because they were very similar in resources. And all of us kids, all the kids were from different school authorities. So we kind of had to follow what our individual school authorities wanted to see for course outcomes and giving grades. And it was very interesting because one of our school authorities only wanted to see 2 essays for English or social, but another person's school authority wanted to see 4 essays for English or social. So very interesting there. And then the school authority, we turn in the work and turn over the course proposals and the work done. And then the school board reports the marks and credits. So you would give the mark, or your child would give the mark, and then the school authority would look at the course and say, yeah, this mark is substantiated, and then they'd report it. Now, I had 2 sons take a parent micro school course called English Language Arts 20-1. But one of the school boards said, nah, I think it fits a 20-2 level. And the other school said, no, it fits a 20-1 level. So be very careful of who you pick for a school authority for high school. Some are stricter than others. Now, when you're giving the mark or your child is giving themselves a mark, it should be within 10% of what they're getting by writing, the exam keys or the exam bank tests or the key exams or the diploma exams. It really should be close. You want your child to succeed at post-secondary. You don't want to give a higher mark than you think that they would do on the exam. These are how you can assess, though. You look at work, journal records, observation, descriptive reports, individual projects, demonstrations, application of skills, completion of quizzes, exams, chapter tests. So not all the evidence of learning has to be paper-based. You are the teacher, or your child's a teacher of high school courses. You know exactly where they stand, where their strengths, where their weaknesses are. For the most part, your school authority has to accept your assessment of the work because you're the teacher teaching the course, the 125 hours of the course. A teacher doesn't just look at the portfolio and think, oh, that's what the teaching quality was, or that's what the learning quality was. That's not fair. You're there, you're living it, you give the mark. Okay, why would you go parent-directed? It seems easier to just put your kid in an online course. Well, because course marks now are worth 70% rather than 50%. But also because with school courses, there's no personalized learning. Requirements are set in stone. And I'm going to go show through each course and show you what an online course requirements look like compared to one done under home education. Under home education, you have fewer assignments, much like university style, and it's still the same learning, but a lot less output for evidence, because in an online course, the teacher can't see the student. They want lots of written output to demonstrate learning. But under home education, you can observe learning. You can have a conversation with your child and know what they understand about politics and social studies. You're there. You don't need paper-based evidence. The other reason, you may have a student that's shy of discussions required under school, but they may want to discuss with you. That still means they learned. It's just a different evidence. Maybe they dislike doing labs or dislikes doing King Lear and would prefer to read Hamlet. You don't have those options under school. Maybe they prefer exams over written work. Again, you don't have those options under school courses. You might have a child who wants to demonstrate instead of write an essay. That's fine. You have all the flexibility of how your child demonstrates their learning. In school, it's only through quizzes and exams. Okay, here's an example. Chem 30. The school, an online course, has 36 assessments, and they're written in stone. You cannot change those. Whereas when we did Chemistry 30 at home, my kids read through Nelson Chemistry textbook. They did the concepts. They self-taught the concepts or got a tutor to do it. They worked through the chapter questions. They wrote an exam bank unit test and a final exam, and they were done. They wrote the diploma exam, done. Much less work, more like university style, whereas online was much more work. Okay, I've talked about that. Okay, so How does high school work? Each high school course is 1 to 5 credits, and it's based on hours studying. So a 1 credit course would be 25 hours, a 5 credit course would be 125 hours. And each grade is about 35 credits. And you can get these planning sheets. I will send you one with this course. Okay, now in the core courses, for English language arts and social studies, they're coded this way, 10-1, 10-2. -1 stream are the universities. It's more technical, more academic. The writing has to be a more academic quality in English language arts and social studies. Now, a lot of colleges and tech schools take a -2 stream. So, for example, my son went to biochemistry at university, but got in with a social -2. He didn't need a -1 because it was a science. -3 is more trades and work orientated, so skills based. Math and science is numbered differently than English language arts and social studies. So for grade 10 science, it's just a common grade 10 or science 14. Grade 11, they start branching out into more options, science, chemistry, bio, or physics, and same with grade 12. All of these sciences are standalone courses except for chemistry and physics. So science 30, bio 30 are standalone. Children can just take those courses and do very well without needing prerequisite knowledge. Same with English language arts and social studies. They can all take the 30 level grade 12 without having the prerequisites. Math tends to build. So I would suggest taking grade 10, 11, and 12 math because it does build on each other. So everybody takes a common math 10C pretty well and then branches out into math -1 for if they're going into a STEM career like biosciences, engineering, nursing, they're probably going to need a -1 stream. If they're going into humanities in university, -2 would work. Okay, if you have any questions of this, please email me because I know it's very complicated. Can parents override teachers' recommendation for course selection? Absolutely. Parents have a right to direct their child's education, whether in a physical school or home education. They know their children's abilities best. So, for example, I had one child where they recommended science 14 and math 10-3. Now, a child is not going to get into university with those courses. Those are trades and work courses. But I knew my child could do a -2 level. So I insisted that he go into -2, into math and into science. And they did. They have to, because if you insist, they have to put them in. So he finished high school with a -2 level, grade 11, math and science. And then he decides he wants to go into a STEM career. Well, guess what? He needs -1. So what did he do? He did upgrading courses in -1. He got his math 30-1. He got his biology 30. He got his chemistry 30. And he went into his bioscience course. So he worked hard. It didn't come easy, but he did it. He was motivated. He did it. So never, never let teachers override what you think your child can do because you know your child best. How long should high school take? It should take about 1.5 to 3 hours a day. And that's for 2 or 3 core subjects and their options. So in fall, you might want to pair science with social. So many children do a sciencey math paired with a social English, because then it's not all writing and it's not all calculation. It's a balance. And then in winter, you might want to do English and then pair it with math, and then options such as phys ed, CTS courses, career and life management, whatever. But it won't take more than 1.5 to 3 hours a day under home education. Like I said, you're not doing 30 to 50 assignments per course like an online course would be. You're doing it much more concentrated assignments. So kids have a lot of free time, and that's why a lot of my kids went into high school to have the social experience, and within 2 weeks they said, nah, that takes too much time. I sit there all day for 6 hours, and then I have 3 hours of homework a night. I want to come home and do it my way. So I have time to do other things like make beer or volunteer at the food bank. Okay, now everybody has to write social and English diploma exams for a diploma. If your child doesn't want to do the diploma route, that's fine. They don't have to write the exams, but every child, including home education, has to write those diploma exams. You can write in January, April, June, August, and November. August, your child, if they're over age 19, can walk in at any time and write them for the course. If they're rewriting, they have to pay $26. Now, under age 19, I talked about this. So this is just reiterating that under age 19, diploma exams count for 30% of the mark, and they still need a course mark of 70%. But over age 19, they can walk in, write it, and it stands for 100% of the final mark or a combo of the course exam mark, whichever is higher. Okay, post-secondary usually requires 4 cores and an option. Or as a mature student, if your child's applying for a mature student, over age 21, they only need English Language Arts 30-1 and a mark better than 65%. But university, if your child wants to go to university, they have to have a mark for English Language Arts 30-1. They cannot get into university with English 30-2. Not at all. They can go to colleges with 30-2, but not university. I'll just tell you that right now. Now, what should those 4 cores be? English 30-1, math can be -2, -1, depending on what program they're going into. A science, and it could be science 30, bio 30, chemistry 30, or physics 30, depending on what they're going into. And social studies, -2 or -1, depending on what they're going into. And an option. We often chose phys ed 30, just because it's easy to do under home education. Special projects 30. We also chose food studies, the 30 level, 1 credit courses, just again, because it's easy to do in the home. But please check when your child starts getting into grade 11, you should check to where they're going to go for post-secondary, because it's very much dependent. All across Canada, if your child wants to get into engineering, they're going to need chemistry and physics. That's a given. And math 30 and math 31, which is calculus. If your child is aiming for nursing, guaranteed they're going to need chemistry and biology. And whether they need math 30-1 or -2 depends on the institution. So you really need to check those requirements. Now, when you're applying for post-secondary, you apply online and you put in the course in the field that the online application form is. Online applications doesn't see your child, doesn't talk to your child. There's no place to put volunteer opportunities, leadership, none of that. It doesn't matter. That is more for scholarships. Scholarships want to see volunteer and community and citizenship. But applying for post-secondary, all they care about is what grade 12 courses your child has to present for their competitive average. And here's an example. If your child is applying to a university in Alberta, they would fill out one application. I don't know if I have this in here, to apply Alberta. So they put in all their courses, where they went, what their marks were, and then every university or college in Alberta will pull that from Apply Alberta. So they don't have to fill out those applications all over Alberta, which is really, really nice. If they're applying out of province, they will have to, the province will want to see their transcript. So for example, here at University of Victoria, they said it is an admission requirement to be a secondary school graduate. Therefore, homeschooled applicants must be able to present proof of completion of a program that has met graduation from a recognized educational jurisdiction and also faculty-specific minimum subject and academic average requirements. But really, what that means is if you're applying with a portfolio, which is really hard to do online, they will not know your children are homeschooled. When you present marks and credits and a school code on a transcript, they have no clue that your child's been homeschooled. Okay, if your child is over 18, they might want to upgrade. Just warning you, if they get high school coded courses, then they're eligible for scholarships. If they get their high school courses at university, they're not eligible for scholarships because they're coded differently. So let's say your child doesn't have biology 30 and English 30, and they do it at university, which is called English 100, they won't qualify for scholarships, but they will if they do it under a high school number. Okay, they have to finish high school by age 20 for funding. But if you have a child that's over age 20, you can still use this guideline to have tutors or self-teach all the high school courses, and then your child can walk in, write the diploma exams, no matter what age they are, and get the marks and credits on their transcript. They do not have to take an online course if they don't want to. They don't have to take a classroom course if they don't want to. They can self-teach. That's super cheap. If they take school courses, they're like $500 to $600. But if they can self-teach or hire tutors, they can understand the course, go in, write the diploma exam. Okay. So curriculum, you can purchase or download high school course materials through ADLC. You can go through a school authority if they're under age 20. Yeah. Now remember, online is always school, so we're not going to talk about online here. Okay, let's go through course by course. How do you begin parent-directed marks and credits? I'm sorry we're running a little over this hour, but I want to give you all this information. So this webinar is going to be about an hour and a half. I hope you're okay with that, but you can break it up and watch it when you want. So, okay, so how do you begin home education for marks and credits? First of all, you have to register for home education just like everybody else does for grades 1 to 9. Now you want to ask for the traditional home education program. You might want to print off Alberta education outcomes for different courses, or once you notify with a school authority in home ed and tell them you want to do high school for marks and credits, they will assign you a facilitator who's very up to date on high school and will tell you everything I've told you here. And they will help you plan your resources, what outcomes to meet, those kinds of things. Then they will show you, they will probably have their own course proposal, what we call the bookends. So a course proposal and a course summary. They will probably have their own templates that they want you to do. I will send you mine, which I used, and it's a good comparison because if they're asking for more work than we did, you can say, hey, how come you're asking for more work than what Judy gave me? So, but I will send you, if you let me know what courses your child wants, whether they're grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, what core courses, -1, -2, There's so many courses in high school that I can't include all of them to send you, but I can send you all the cores and some options that we did, the common options that many parents do. Now, you have to get those course proposals into your school authority by September 30th, along with your home education plan that refers to the course proposals. And then that's it. You do all your paperwork by September 30th, and then your child does the course. They finish the textbook, they work through chapter questions, they write an exam through Exam Bank or the Key, and then at the end of the semester, usually by end of January or end of June or end of May, we gather all our evidence of coursework, put it in a nice little, well, we used to do paper. We put it in a nice little binder and gave it to our facilitator and said, here's our course. This is the mark we think is adequate for the course. And then the facilitator takes it away and reviews it over the next month and says, yep, that looks good. And then they report the marks on the transcript. That's how it works. And they need time to review it. So you've got to have it in by end of May and usually by first week in January if you're following semesters. Now, a lot of high school kids just work on one course. They might do English for 2 months, get it done, get it to the facilitator, then work on social for the next 2 months. And school authorities right now are even talking about 4 semesters a year. So if your child wants to do a course through the summer, let's say they want to work on something through June, July, August, and they save up all the work and then they give it to their school authority in September and say, can you report this? We're done. We worked on it through the summer. And your school authority will. Course done. So again, most of the school authorities say, okay, parents can give the mark or the child can give their mark for 70% of the course, but we want to see an independent exam. And they can ask for an exam, but you as a parent have the right to know what's on that exam before it's given, because you're the teacher of the course, technically. Even if your child self-studies, you're technically overseer of the course. You have the right to know what's on that exam and make sure the child knows it, has studied it in the course, to just like a teacher in a school knows what's on their exam that they give their kids. That's fair for you too. And if your school authority does not support that, then change school authorities. Okay, here's the course bookends. So this is a course proposal for English 30-1, 5 credits, 125 hours. Here's the start date, here's the end date. And I know this is three years old, but a couple years old, but it's the same thing. We've done this past year too. And here's the end evaluation, same information. So we just outlined, these are 1 pages. They don't have to be a lot of work. This is what we said our student would do for English 30-1. These are the resources they were going to use or may use. And these are the things you're going to put in your course proposal because you want funding to cover these. And this is how we were going to assess it. So we decided this is what we were going to mark. And then the student does all these things or does most of these things. And then we actually put down what the child did. And we included evidence. So here we included 1 personal response essay, 1 critical analysis essay. We did a student self-reflection. We completed all the readings, and we included written paragraphs on those readings. And then there was our mark. And then we submit both of these in a folder, a binder with the evidence of coursework, and then gave it to our facilitator. Nowadays, we tend to submit everything on a memory stick or up through Dropbox, just because everything nowadays is online, all our paperwork. Keep in mind, kids still need adult support, especially if they're new to grade 10, 11. You need to check in with them, make sure they're studying regularly. help them fill out a schedule. I take the textbook and I divide it into number of weeks, and I put little tabs on saying, okay, you need to be at this point in the textbook by this week, by this month, you should be here, just to keep them accountable. And here's an example of our course binders. So for example, this was 30-2 social. We had our proposal in here, our course summary, and all the evidence of work that we did. Here's English 30-1. And like I said, nowadays, these are folders on a memory stick that we just give to our facilitator. These are your best friends. These, you can buy these through your school authority for half the price they sell them in chapters. So the key, they have them for each course in high school. They cover the main concepts of the course. They have questions for helping your child understand each unit. So our kids would read the textbook and then do the unit exam on here. Read the textbook for the next chapter, do the unit exam. And then they did the final exam in these books. And our school authority often asked us to hire a proctor. Often we just sent the kids over to the neighbors to write the exam. And we didn't show the kids the exam. We saw the exam to know what was on it and make sure that they knew it. And then they go write the exam with a proctor overseeing that, you know, they weren't cheating. And then we use that mark for the course mark. Okay, let's quickly go through these. So English, the courses, high school core courses, English 10, 20, and 30. It's all the same content, but it builds in skills. That's why kids can just do English 30 and get credit for 10 and 20. So in each course, there's a novel to read. There's a book, a textbook of short stories, poetry, visuals that they can analyze. And yeah, each course has Canadian texts and Shakespeare if they want to do it. If they don't want to do it, that's okay too, because you're in charge. And then the diploma exam consists of a multiple choice, one personal response essay, and one critical analysis essay. So by grade 12, you want your kids very good at writing these two types of essays. You might want to purchase a course on just those two essay writings because it's all about the diploma exam. Here's the grade 10 textbooks needed. Sightlines 10, it contains all the poetry, short stories, visuals. You may have to supplement with a novel and a film. Same with grade 11, same with grade 12. This language works. It's nice workbook for understanding grammar, spelling, literary devices, things like that, but my kids hated workbooks, so we never did that. Okay, and there's the course proposals again. Now, there is a novel and short story and film list of recommendations from Alberta Education for grades 4 to 12 in Alberta. Not sure if this link still works, but I can send you the PDF too. And if I haven't sent it to you, please email me and ask me for the English language arts list. Now, if they did it through online school, they'd have to do 50 lessons. Youch. But if you look at ours, this is what we're doing. Much different. Social studies. Okay, again, that is whether they do the -1 stream or the -2 stream, it's the same content. So academic writing in -1 is expected to be a little more really good. If they're not very strong writers, maybe do a -2 level, but it depends on what they want to go into. If they're going into humanities and university, they're going to need a -1 level. And this is a good way to practice more academic writing. This is the grade 10 book required for -1, grade 11 book for -1, grade 12 book for -1. This is the grade 10 book for -2, 11 book for -2, 12 book for -2. Same content. Actually, we got these books for our kids to read because it was a lot simpler, easier to read and understand the concepts. but they did the writing at a -1 level and got credit for the course in -1. So if you have trouble getting these textbooks, get these textbooks. It's the same content. And like I said, Social 30 is a standalone course. So if they just do that, they can get marks and credits for -10, 20 or credits. Okay, this is what they would do if they had to do online school. 42 writing assignments and lessons. Math 10, if they're going from, this is the Common Core Math 10 book. From there, they stream to a more STEM math. If they're doing a STEM career, they're going to need -1 in grade 11 and -1 in grade 12 and calculus, Math 31, calculus maybe. Although calculus, my kids picked up at university. Depends on the program. If they're going to a humanities or arts career, they could do -2 level at grade 11 and -2 level at grade 12. And the topics do build. This is kind of the progression expected for math. They can do 10C and go these 2 routes, 3 routes. This is the route they're going to need for STEM. This is the route they're going to need for humanities and arts. This is the route they're going to use for work or entrepreneurship. Okay, online course has 39 lessons. Hello, kitty. Okay, Science 10. Everybody takes Science 10, and then in grade 11, they stream into biology, physics, chemistry, or science. They can just take Science 10, 20, 32 if they want. Now, Science 10 is a great introductory course because this textbook, the first chapter is in chemistry, I believe, and then physics, and then biology, and then earth science. So depending on which unit your child really, really likes is what they might want to stream into in grade 11. If they love biology unit in Science 10, they might want to go the biology route. A lot of children that are going into humanities and arts take biology just because it's in grade 11, it's a useful course for understanding the environment, plants, animals. In grade 12, it's all about the human body, and that's very useful too, especially if they're going to become parents or want to know more about, things that affect them in life, like coronaviruses. Chemistry, the topics do build, so I would advise if your child needs Chem 30, they do 20 and 32. This is a common textbook for both grade 11 and 12. The first 4 units are grade 11, last 4 are grade 12. And again, you can see if they take it online, it's a lot of work. But if they're doing sciences, parent-directed, what our kids did was read the textbook, work out the questions. They could use Exam Bank or the Key, and they just did the 4-unit review questions, 4 unit exams, 1 final exam, and 1 diploma exam, and that was the course. They didn't have to do 50 writing assignments. Biology 20 and 30, I kind of talked about that. This is the textbook. The topics are independent, so they can just go in and write Bio 30 and get credits for Bio 22. Physics, topics build, so they would need to take physics 11, grade 11 and grade 12. Okay, career and life management. Again, that was a super easy course to do under home education. It's divided into 3 sections: career, finance, and personal choices. So it's a 3-credit course, mandatory for a diploma. This is a little sperm bank here. And it's basically good parenting. If your children have conflict resolution skills with their siblings, or, they do a lot of career planning or do a resume, have a job, those all apply to career and life management. We did this for COM. We did a resume. We got our kids to take a Myers-Briggs exam online. We got them to do a career profile worksheet. We went to open houses of career fairs, which are really good anyways. We got them to do a budget for living away from home. We just practice interpersonal communication in our families. And they read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and we called it a course. That's what we did. Very easy peasy. If they do it online, they got to do 35 assessed items. Okay, what do you do? Let's just wrap up here. What do you do? Like I said, my math ends at grade 8. What do you do if your kids are stuck and you can't help? Hire tutors. Get them online with Khan Academy. There are so many free videos showing them how to do math, science, and even English now. Get them onto Spark Notes for how to analyze essays and texts and movies and videos and things like that. Maybe have a peer-to-peer study group where they can actually get together with stronger students to help in math and science, and maybe they can help in social studies and English. And there's tons of online videos now. You do not have to be the sole person that needs to know everything. Your children are very good by age 13 at research skills, and they're going to need that for university anyway. So there's lots of help out there. If you're really stuck, turn to your facilitator and ask them for support. How to acquire those textbooks? You can rent them from Alberta Distance Learning. You can borrow them from your school authority if they let you. Buy used off Amazon. Get on the Alberta Homeschooling Teens group and see if anybody has some from previous courses. Yeah, there's lots of ways. You can go to Western Resources. They have some. University bookstores have a lot of high school textbooks. Okay. You can access, if you Google the course name, the course number, and a PDF, you can find a lot of teachers put their course modules online for public consumption, and you can find a lot of textbooks that way too. They just put them up there. So feel free to download them, or at least, for your course, and then don't share them, please, because that violates copyright. But actually, even downloading them might violate copyright. So be sure to follow your provincial copyright and your federal copyright laws. But you can use them from the internet. If they're up there, you can access them from there as well. And same with textbooks. You can find a lot of textbooks online if you just Google the course and PDF. So we took a lot of pictures to show that we met the outcomes. So for example, we put the food course name here. We put down what she met and what and date, and a picture showing the child and the food. You can't just pull food pictures off the internet. How do you know what they need to do for the CTS courses? Just go to Alberta Education, go to the CTS courses, print off what the outcomes are, and then put them in a binder or keep them digital and check off what your child's done. And a lot of them are quite repetitive. If they've done problem solving in science, they've also done it in English. Or you can do buy the keys and have your kids do the exams, and that shows that they know the course too. Okay, so option courses. Let's talk about option courses. Okay, how do you do the high school option courses? Through home education. Again, there's a buffet of options. Our children did a whole bunch of career and technology study courses. All the outcomes are on the internet through Alberta Education. We just thought it'd keep it easy to do phys ed through grade 11 and 12, because you had to do it for grade 10 anyways for a diploma. So we just continued going out there, exercising, doing stuff, keeping a log of dates and times, number of hours, and taking photographs. And art is easy to do, French. So art, for example, was making a costume for Comic Fest, right? So here's food studies. So we did 5 credits in grade 10, 5 credits in grade 20, grade 11, and 5 credits in grade 12. We showed photographs of what they did and them in the photograph, and we kept a log of what they made. So you could do like soups and sauces. So they have to do 25 hours of learning kitchen safety, making soups and sauces, those kinds of things. For phys ed, again, keeping a log of what activity they did. And you want to have a variety of activities as much as possible. Camping is really good because it logs a lot of hours. And keeping a log, taking photographs, and at the end of foods and phys ed, they might have to write up a 1-page summary of what they learned. And it's all evidence of learning. That's what it is proving that they've learned something. Like I said, work experience and RAP may have to be done at the school level if you choose that, because it's mandatory that the school does a site visit. And if they're doing a site visit, they're going to want to get the funding for the course. So it could be done under shared too. If that's, you could outsource that to the school under shared responsibility and then do other things that might even be 20% of the shared. And you would do 80% of the rest of the courses under home education. And we did, at the time my kids did it, we didn't have to do a site visit. So they did things like volunteering at the food bank, you know, shoveling walks for jobs you can do, volunteering you can do. Special projects is 5 credits. That's wonderful. And also coming up is 5 credits that are external education, separate from special projects. External education is an external course. So if they took a pilot's license, a driver's license, if they took the brain story, courses that other organizations offer, they could pick up 5 credits there. Now, special projects is different. That is where the child designs the course. So we grab those credits. All 5 of my kids did this too. When we go traveling, we designed a course that says, okay, they'll learn how to get a passport, they'll learn how to book airlines, they'll learn how to plan a trip, they'll learn how to research the country for safety. And then we actually went on the trip, and then they wrapped up with a summary of their learnings on the trip. We did that for several trips. It was so much fun too. One child did a basement renovation with their dad, and I have templates of course proposals for these. If you're interested, just email me. Computer building, they built their own gaming computers from instructions on YouTube, and we got parts funded. Learn to code, learn how to write a novel, how to edit a novel. And one of my kids had a real passion for reading Terry Pratchett and spent time reading 40 books. Well, hey, that's educational. We want to turn that into marks and credits. So we did. And other projects like volunteering for Beakerhead, we did for special projects. So there's the world is the oyster. They can do anything for that. And we just showed examples of proofs of learning through our travel, through building a gaming computer. We showed a video of how we assembled the parts. For Beakerhead, we just showed tons of photos of what we did for our home education parents and kids entry, our team. Art is another one, which is really easy to do. Just do art, take pictures, write a 1-page summary of learning. Okay, now I'm not gonna, if this sounds like too much work for you, yes, you can put them back into school. They can do online courses. They can do correspondence courses. They can do physical classroom courses, or you could throw them in your neighborhood high school again. Now, here's another option. If your child just wants to fast track it to university, they can apply at Athabasca University at 16. They can take a year of courses, get good marks, and apply to any post-secondary as a transfer student. They don't need a high school diploma. But first year marks are cumulative. They have to be good if they're going to go this route. And high school is totally flexible. For example, if your child is not going to self-study courses, let's say your child wants online courses. So you could do all the grade 10 core courses through school. And then the next year, just register for home education and then do all the extra courses like the CTS courses, the arts, the phys ed, the comm, the special projects. Do that under home education parent. And then the next year, put your kids back into school. And then the next year, you can do a shared responsibility and do half and half if you want. It's totally flexible. For example, my son, one year we did all his social studies, all his English, all his CTS, arts, phys ed, comm, special projects under 2 years of home education. And then I put him into an upgrading school for adults for his math and science because he's not very good with online courses and he didn't want to do school. So we did it that way. We did one whole section first and then another section. So you can do anything like that. Remember, children are funded until they're 20 years old on September 1st. So my one child whose birthday was September 4th got a whole 20th year of funding because he was born at the right day. Now, is your child not motivated? Okay, so you can delay high school until age 17. They still have 3 years of funded high school to get the courses. If they're not motivated at age 14, 15, 16, maybe they will be at 17. Like I said, their executive function really takes that final leap at age 17. And that executive function helps many to settle down, become more serious about attaining high school credits. And when they're motivated, they excel. We know that. Okay, scholarships. Everyone can apply for the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship, but they do need course marks for grade 10s, 11s, and 12s, at least 5 courses, and they can include special projects and work experience and also CTS courses, but they do need requirements. If your child has special needs, I would suggest getting a psych ed exam for grade 12 because they're going to need the documentation for accommodations on diploma exams, and most universities post-secondaries want documentation within 3 years of university entry. Now, once they get to post-secondary, there are so many supports and grants and funding that all go to your child, and get to know the accessibilities offices. It's really good. What's post-secondary really like? Some courses, some schools still take attendance. And like I said, most courses are minimal assessed items, unlike high school where there's maximum items. And a home education program at high school is more like the post-secondary experience, where there's 3 to 4 major assignments. And not so much at the exams, but in university, exams are worth from 50 to 90%. So be sure your children are ready to go. And I kind of talked about this. This was the Apply Alberta. This is where children apply for post-secondaries online. They put the course name in, the number, and the field knows if this, that's why you can't make up courses. They will not accept biology. They need to know it's biology 30, which is Alberta Programs of Study Outcome. Okay, I talked about this, and this is kind of neat. So homeschoolers who are self-directed are acknowledged. My son applied for University of Calgary, and they asked about the IB program. They asked about AP, Advanced Placement Program, and they asked if the child was self-directed. And I think that's really, really nice that they acknowledge that those children are very, very well suited for university. Okay, I think that's about it. And when kids are burning out from 16 years of preschool and kindergarten to grade 12, get them revved up for high school. If you do home education super relaxed till grade 10, grade 10 to 12, those are the years that count, and especially grade 12. And you want to ramp them up for high school, not burn them out. Most kids quit homeschooling at grade 8 because parents don't have confidence they can help them through the administration part of high school, like I've just walked you through today. But high school at home education is such a great experience. Social development. I had all my children went to either in-town universities, and they actually lived in res because they wanted to live away from home. And they did just fine. In fact, they were way more mature than those first-year university kids that are out from under their parents' thumb at university. They did so much better. And I also had kids that went to out-of-province universities, and they did just fine too, adapting to life outside of home education. So when kids need to adapt, they do adapt, and there's lots of supports out there for them. What are the benefits? This is my daughter at her high school graduation. She got to get up and make a speech. They get confidence and self-esteem, and especially in themselves as people, but as learners. When they can do well in learning, they just soar. When they can do it their way and adapt it to their unique interests and personalities. Children learn to write when they have something to say. And if they have time to say something, they will learn the tools for writing. They get to sleep a lot because, like I said, it takes 1.5 to 3 hours a day, so they get to sleep in. They do a lot of their work at night. When I'm winding down, they're winding up, and I'm like, okay, enjoy that. It's so much more relaxed. They have time for their interests, and oftentimes, if they have the time to pursue interests, they know what career they want to go into. How great is that? They have close sibling relationships, and the focus is the family, not peers. They have great work habits. They love learning. They have natural social skills, and it's a one-on-one personalized education. High school, you can adapt so much to personal interests. So enjoy high school your way. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be sending a lot of the supplement materials. And if I forget anything or you need clarification on any of this webinar, please email me and I can help you out there. So I hope you enjoy homeschooling, home education your way and your child's way. And they will be awesome, awesome students and people, learners, and citizens. Thank you. Take care.